okay? First and foremost.
As Dr. Umar, sister, Dr. Umar.
Well, then act like a doctor and stop criticizing everybody. Bottom line, people who
non-emotional strategic thinking.
Hater. You are a black woman.
You're emotional, my sister. We can't win being emotional.
Dude, you criticize everybody. I ain't never seen you do anything for black people.
Hey, we're not going to attack our guests either.
Calm down, my beautiful African citizens.
All right. You have seemed to be mighty emotional yourself today, Dr. Umar. We all are, because this is a very touchy situation. We see it differently.
Passion. I am
passion.
See, Dr. Umar is using semantics now.
Dr. Umar is just a black female basher. And I said, that definitely is not true. He is uphold the integrity of black women. That's just how I've known them.
She identifies as black. I can show you 5 interviews of Kamala Harris being called South Asian and
because you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that. So we're both Indian, but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
Well, what would you consider her to be?
She doesn't once correct the interview.
What do you consider her to be?
I'm not only South Asian, I'm also Jamaican African or Jamaican American or American African. She is a proud Southeast Indian woman. She has a right to be a proud Southeast Indian woman, and nobody's going to manipulate my emotions or my consciousness to vote for a black woman who's only black when it benefits her. And I'm not voting for Donald Trump either, because he ain't got nothing on my plate. I'm live and direct from Eastern Michigan University, Ypsilanti, Michigan, about 30 minutes from Detroit, where I keynoted the Black Consciousness Conference yesterday and the day before.
Okay. What was your message?
My message was solidarity. My message was don't be emotionally co-opted by either presidential candidate. It is not enough to vote for Donald Trump because he is talking about doing something economically for African people. Let us remind ourselves that while he was president for 4 years, he did very little, if anything at all, economically for African people. He didn't start talking about a platinum package until it was time to run again for a second term against then former Vice President Joe Biden. And so now he's talking about economics, but you had 4 years in office. At the conclusion of the George Floyd protest for justice, Donald Trump passed the historic Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. Why are you passing a Hispanic Prosperity Initiative at the end of the George Floyd protest? Where was the American African Prosperity Initiative? And on the other side of the aisle, with our Asian American, South Asian American, occasionally black candidate Kamala Harris, she sat in the White House with President Biden for 4 years and watched him pass an anti-Asian hate bill. She watched him pass an anti-transgender hate bill. She watched him give billions of dollars to Ukraine and Afghanistan. She watched him purge and gentrify black people out of Chicago and New York, among other cities, because we now know that there are migrant crises growing in other cities. And she did nothing. And this is after she said on an interview that she can't do anything just for black people. Well, if you can't do anything just for black people, Vice President Harris, how was it possible? Excuse me, how is it possible for you guys to do something just for gays, just for Asians, just for Native Americans, just for migrants? Complete contradiction. And so for me, at this point right now, with 3 months to go until the November 5th election, Baba David, I don't have a reason to vote for either of them.
Okay, but well, you won't vote for either, but a no vote for her, isn't that like a vote for him?
I completely disagree, because even if a no vote is a no vote, it doesn't go to either candidate. Now, if no vote went to Donald Trump, then I could understand the mathematical assessment. But a no vote is a no vote. So it doesn't go.
I'm thinking about mathematically. Let's say we have 7 million voters. 350 million want to vote for Donald Trump, but
Yes.
250 million say, well, I'm not going to vote at all. So that 350 million would still go to him, and the other votes would not even be counted. And that's what I meant by a no vote is a vote for him. Because any vote we take away, somebody else is going to vote for him.
I hear what you question. Here's my question. Here's my question, Baba.
Yes.
Whether a no vote for Kamala Harris goes to former President Trump or not, here's my question to the American African community. What have we been promised from Vice President Kamala Harris that would require us to vote? What have we been promised from former President Trump that will require us to vote? What I see going on, Baba David, is I am seeing dysfunctional identity politics where black people, many of whom claim that mixed race Africans are not black, but the same Negroes who will say that mixed race Africans are not black will call Kamala Harris black. So make up your mind. And she's not even 50%. She don't have a black parent. She has a mixed race parent.
First of all, I want to say.
Hold on, Baba. She has a mixed race parent.
Okay.
Her father is half Jamaican African. She is a quadroon. She is 1/4 black. Here's the point that I'm making. For those who are into identity politics, she doesn't meet the criteria of being black by many of their standards. So I'm hearing black people say I'm going to vote for her just because she's black. But according to many American Africans' definition of being black, because many of us reject mixed race, I don't. I'm a Pan-Africanist, I don't. But many of them reject mixed race Africans, but they're qualifying Kamala Harris because they need to believe in her so badly. Here's my last point, Baba David. There's been 14 presidential elections since Dr. King's assassination. 14 presidential election cycles since 1968. Can you please name the one that benefited black people? And if we cannot name the election cycle out of the past 14 presidential elections since Dr. King's assassination, if we can't name the presidential administration that changed something systemically for the American African people, why then are we emotionally rallying our people up to be exploited once again?
People talk about, well, she ain't 100% black. I thought, what happened to the one drop of black blood? And I also wanted to say, Bob Marley had a white father. So does that mean that he's not black?
I will come back to that.
Bob Marley was percent African, Baba. He had a black mother. Kamala Harris doesn't have a black mother. She has a mixed race father.
Oh, so it's the
she is not mixed race.
It's the female lineage.
The quadroon.
So it's the
quadroon
female.
is 1/4.
Okay, we gotta take a break.
For me, it don't matter. Okay.
Do you believe in voting or just not voting for president?
I believe in voting when I have a reason to vote.
Okay, that's good.
That my vote is so important and valuable to me, I do not waste it. I don't vote because I can. I would liken that to walking into a supermarket and buying stuff just because you have money. Who walks into a Galleria mall and starts buying things just because they have a credit card, just because they have a checkbook, just because they have money? I think we would call that the definition of insanity.
Or
so telling black people just because they can, to me, is ridiculousness. And we also have to keep in mind as well, Baba David, that the main strategy used to influence black people to vote is fear. That is how they get black people out to vote. The #1 propaganda point that you hear being pushed by the Democratic Party plantation slaves is if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, Trump will win. That's not a reason to vote. I'm going to vote because Kamala Harris has promised to build industries in the black community that is going to give our people jobs so our young men can stop killing each other in the name of crime and financial desperation. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris because she's going to pass legislation to deal with the femicide in our black community. Everything from sexual trafficking, everything to the brutality and slaughter of defenseless black women, to the amount of black women who are dying while they're trying to give birth to their children, okay, as well as the high infant mortality rate, which is one of the highest in the developed world. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris because she promises to radically transform and reconstruct the special education to prison pipeline. In other words, I will gladly cast the vote for Kamala Harris, or I will gladly cast the vote for former President Trump if they give me some food on my plate. But to ask me to sit down and give me a fork and a spoon and act like I'm enjoying a meal when there's no food on my plate is absolutely insanity. Give me a reason to vote. I do not vote because I can, and I will not vote out of fear.
But also, as you mentioned about the strategy and the plan of propaganda, I would be one to believe that part of the propaganda would be to try to convince black people, don't come out and vote, just stay home and vote. Ain't going to do you no good. And then a lot of black people will follow that propaganda and won't come out and vote. I believe the turnout numbers are already so low.
Bobby David, we got to go back to the point. But Bobby David, what are they voting for? You still haven't given me a reason. What are they voting for Kamala Harris for? You understand what I'm saying? You can't just say vote for her, you know, because we don't like Trump. That's fair politics. That's fair politics. What has Joe Biden did for black people?
What
that
has
was so
any of
much better
them
than
done?
Donald
Ain't
Trump?
none of them done
What
nothing.
did Barack Obama do for black people?
Nothing.
That was so
None
much
of them
better
done
than
nothing
George
for
Bush.
us. None of them have done anything for us, and that is why I say.
Thank you. So why are we voting then?
Because
if we've had 14 presidential cycles, Bobby David,
Right.
and the past 57 years.
That's right.
14 presidential elections in 57 years, and nobody can tell me one systemic change that we've gotten from the red team or the blue team.
Because
See, what we got to understand is the left wing and the right wing, the red wing and the blue wing are still parts of the same bird that is doing all over black America.
but still, if you look at it, if the turnout is only minimal, 20% turnout, somebody's going to win the election. So if we stay home, somebody's going to win. And if they convince with their propaganda,
but do we win, Bobby David? But do we win, Bobby David?
Okay, if that's the case, if we don't come out, we certainly can't win.
Will win. No.
Dr. Omar.
You're rationalizing your position by taking the negative. I'm asking you to rationalize your position by taking the positive.
Dr. Omar.
Black America gain by voting for either candidate.
What
do we gain?
If I'm trying
we
to
have to
explain
stop using fear mongering.
I'm not scared. I'm trying to legitimize my position. What I'm saying is that if we came out in numbers, we could elect whoever we wanted. When I was at WHAT, we were running a couple of African candidates right here in Philadelphia. Harry Masala, who is Ethiopian, and we was running Dr. Ulu Fadiyebi. He was running for judge. We thought that we had such a strong voice in the black community on WHAT. We just knew we was going to win those elections. But the black people didn't come out and vote, and the white people came out and voted for their candidate, and our candidate lost. So it's my position that if instead of trying to tell people they don't need to come out and vote, I'm trying to tell people if all of us came out and voted, then we could get what we wanted.
Bobby David, what was your candidate promising black people, or was this simply another useless identity vote because the candidate was black?
I would agree with that, because as I often say, we make no demands. We make no demands on the politicians.
With identity politics. I do not vote because people are black.
I don't either.
I do not vote because people are black. I vote because they're going to do something for my community.
Dr. Omar.
Yes, Patrick.
Dr. Omar, how are you doing?
All is well, my brother.
Man, it's been a long time, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
looking at the, hypothetically, right? who is the best devil that you can actually cast your vote for? Looking at,
I do not engage in the lesser of the two evils narrative. I do not engage.
So how do we participate?
Evil, it does not come in degrees.
How do we participate?
Evil is evil.
How do we participate in the election, or how do we participate in what affects?
I tell you what we should do. It was a very slow. I tell you what we should do. We have 3 months. 3 months.
Yes.
What black people should do right now is organize ourselves into a powerful, all black national union. Our votes should be tied together with all of our mutual consent, and we must pledge to one another that we're voting one way, and we demand an audience with both candidates, our own convention. Because we are not Republicans or Democrats, we are Africans.
Yes.
They will come and give us an audience in our community.
There you go.
And we will ask the questions that are relevant.
I would agree with that.
Former President Trump.
I would agree with that.
We will argue, we will reason, and we will choose a candidate, and that candidate will get every single black vote who has joined our national black political union, and we will promise them before November 5th,
yes, Dr.
you
Omar.
are going to win because of black people. And if I deliver, will not get a single vote the next election.
Yeah.
That is how you do business. Not telling black people to vote out of fear, not telling black people to vote out of identity politics, not telling black people to vote because
last 300 years we should have been doing that, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do that in 3 months. I think that if we did that, we could make a lot more demands on any politician on any level.
Nothing is impossible with the Most High.
So, I agree.
Nothing, Robert David, is impossible with the Most High. Don't say we can't do it.
Okay.
Don't say we can't do it. Yes, we can do it.
Dr. Omar, Dr. Omar, you see the statement you just made really is the option that I agree with better than not voting at all, because the issue that I have is that we do not have a bargaining chip as black people. We don't have a platform. There's one thing talking about it, but there's another thing actually organizing ourselves, because what you say right now, it needs some leadership within the black community to reorganize ourselves and create a platform and a bargaining chip to actually move our vote to not only black candidate, but anybody who actually speaks our voice.
Well, you know, Dr. Umar, I use your analogy, I think it may have been even last week, that you say that Philadelphia is the fastest growing and the #1 gentrified city in the whole country. And I'm saying to myself, the community in which I live in, every time I look around, I see other people walking around in my neighborhood, and it's more and more and more and more and more of them. And I'm saying to myself, pretty soon they're going to be the majority in my neighborhood, and when it comes time to get whatever scarce resources are available through the city, they will vote for what they want. They will press their politicians to do their bidding. And while we stay home and don't vote and don't participate, we'll be sitting by and saying, what happened? We don't got no more power. I don't know what happened.
Keep overlooking the point, Baba, that black people don't have nothing to vote for. What is Kamala? Those very same immigrants, Baba David, that are flooding your neighborhood. Who's bringing them there? The Democratic Party, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris. Who is bringing the migrants into New York, Chicago, and I soon hear Philadelphia? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the Democratic Party. So on the one hand, you say vote for Kamala Harris, but you just gave me a reason why she's causing problems for black people.
We got to go to the phone line. I know a lot of people want to talk about this. We'll go to the phone line.
We got to look at Kamala's track record. How many brothers has she locked up when she was in California?
Were they criminals? Were they criminals that she locked up, or she locked up innocent people?
Some of them wasn't. Some of them wasn't.
Do you know that for sure?
From my research,
The mass incarceration system.
I'm just saying that because people go, well, she locked up all of them, but they was criminals. She was
Wait a
doing her job.
minute,
And
David,
she may have exaggerated.
Incarceration system.
Okay. Okay.
But it sounds to me like people trying to find excuses
Yes,
not to
not
vote
to
for her.
vote.
And I don't think that that's
I
right.
don't get it.
Listen,
To vote.
listen.
You ain't gave me
Stay
no
home.
reason to vote.
Stay home. Go and join Donald Trump, brother.
I'm saying because if you don't vote for
Stay
her,
home.
he's going to win. It's plain and simple. It's mathematically
Okay, and
impossible.
what did we lose if he wins?
Because we're gonna see the same thing we saw before.
He wins.
We're gonna see the same thing we saw before.
Okay, brother,
You're going
okay.
to see the same thing. What did you get the past 4 years under Joe Biden in the Democratic Party?
Well, one thing,
What did
Donald,
Black America
Donald,
gain the past 4 years under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Please tell me.
yeah,
You
but
know
Donald Trump
what?
is promising a
What
whole lot
did
of
we
damage.
gain?
He is promising a whole lot of
What?
damage.
We need to change. We need to,
Democratic Party plantation slavery is insane.
Dr. Omar, you have a lot of influence, and I think that I need to say this to you. What you do and the influence you have, I think we need you to really organize the black community and the black consciousness instead of just pointing out what we need to do, because pointing out is one thing and organizing really on the ground is another thing, and I think you are capable of helping us do that. How do you do that? How do you help us? We need
Well, let's give him a chance to think about it while we take a break. By producer, we take a break. Maybe he'll let us know how we, not just him, it ain't his thing, how we all can organize. If we don't vote, somebody's going to win. That's the. And I know you
But
say
do
why just give
we
your vote away, but
Do we win?
okay.
Do we win? I don't care who wins. Do we win?
But
Do
you-
black people win by voting?
I think
don't
that
care if Kamala Harris wins. I don't care if Donald Trump wins. Do we win? That's the only thing I'm caring about. Do black people win by voting for either candidate?
Dr. Omar, who do you think that you can actually bring to the table to talk to today if you have the opportunity to engage one of them? Who do you think you can engage, and who do you think, based on what you know about them, will at least give you an audience?
Okay. First of all, and here we go again, I think we approach politics too much from a personal preference standpoint. Elections are business, and it is the business of choosing who you want to carry on the business of the country.
That's the question I just asked you.
The business of oppression.
let her finish. Okay.
Hold on. And the business of liberation. So when you say which one, it's not about which one. You meet with both of them. I don't have any loyalty to Kamala Harris. I don't have any loyalty to Donald Trump. They not my friends. Neither both of them have been in the White House for 4 years, and neither one of them did anything for black people. So this ain't got nothing to do with personal preference. This is business. We have to learn to take our emotions out of this. This is not emotional. We must engage in non-emotional strategic thinking. Let me say that again. Non-emotional strategic thinking, not emotional politics and identity politics. I want to meet with both of them. Both of them. We just had a situation in Chicago where 3 sisters representing the National
Association
of Black Journalists met with Donald Trump. It was an absolute failure. It was an absolute failure. Those sisters were emotional. That whole conversation was more about protecting Kamala Harris than really asking him critical questions. I didn't hear nothing about mass incarceration. I didn't hear nothing about miseducation. I didn't hear nothing about reparations. What I saw was 3 emotional black women who are going out of their way to try to humiliate the former president in order to endorse the current vice president. That's not what you do. We all know what Donald Trump believes. We already know what Donald Trump feels. Ask him about the issues that matter to black people. They did not do that. They were emotional. We will get nothing from either party if we keep on engaging in emotional identity politics.
I'm really glad that we had you on here. I was cautious, but I say, you have a very strong voice, like Patrick said. You know, you're very influential. As a matter of fact, you know, that is why I say doesn't matter to me whether I agree with you or not. Whether you agree with me, I don't care. We can be disagreeable. I'm gonna still love you as a very influential brother. And I've known
of course.
and I've known you since I remember when you and Tyson Price was just coming up, and I said, these brothers got a lot to say, and I still to this day want to hear what you got to say, and I don't care if I agree with you or not. So now, I know that you say we should not be concerned necessarily about who wins, but somebody's going to win, and if you listen to Donald Trump, he intends to do a whole lot of damage, especially to black folks, and that's why I said,
will she?
Well, maybe she
No,
will.
will she?
But at least she ain't telling us what she's gonna do, so we should believe him and not.
Did you see the picture, Baba David, that Kamala Harris tweeted from her Twitter account a couple months ago, where she said President Biden and I are absolutely committed to promoting minority businesses, and she had about 10 or so people in the picture. This is a tweet from her account a couple months ago. I'm going to text you the picture.
Okay.
And she said, the president and I are absolutely committed to supporting minority businesses, right? Something to that effect. And guess what, Baba? There was about 10 people in the picture. Not a single black person in this picture of minority businesses. She already told you she ain't thinking about no black folks. She told us over and over and over again. She not thinking about you. Yes, she's going to bring back diversity, equity, and inclusion. But she's going to bring it back for her East Indian people. She's going to bring it back for Latinos. She's going to bring it back for homosexuals, for Chinese, for Asian.
I disagree with you, Dr. Umar.
Bring it back for black folks.
This is the first time I will disagree with you. This is what I want to say, Dr. Umar. You know, I was talking to somebody yesterday in Delaware, right? They have a lot of these small business loans in Delaware. And a lot of the minorities in Delaware could not benefit from that loan. But I know that they have the same in Philadelphia here, and I know that many people from Philadelphia area who are minority business owners at least are beneficiaries of those loans. What I'm trying to say is that, see, when the federal government sends such monies to the local governments, it's about us, those at the local level, really making sure that those monies go to where they belong to. So
care about African businesses.
So we talking about you know
minority black African businesses.
Yes, but the thing is that this is presidential election. But the issue too is that what are we, the local governments, actually local leaders, doing to make sure that when we get those monies, we are actually sending those monies to where they belong to?
I don't know.
Are you aware minority anything that's not black? Are you aware that minority includes anything that's?
Oh yes, yes. It's not only about color.
Women.
I know it's not only about color. Yes, I know that it's not only about color. You know, it's about the
other than white.
Yes, yeah. So it could be anybody.
Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
When you say minority businesses, right? Do you realize that they can give support to minority businesses and not a single black person gets anything? You do realize that, right?
Yes,
for sure.
It's happening.
We need to qualify our demands as American African people, not as minorities. Stop letting Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and the Democratic machine lump us in with all non-white people, because those other non-white people cannot stand black people any more than Caucasians. We are not minorities. We are not people of color. We are the American Africans who built this country, and we should be treated as a separate, unique, and distinct group of people as they do when they deal with Native American affairs. Ask Kamala Harris, is she going to create a department of American African affairs? Ask her that. If she says she will, I might vote for her. Tell her to create a presidential cabinet level position for American African affairs with a federal director whose job is to look after the best interests of the American African people. Ask her if she's willing to do that. I promise you she won't.
Well, you know what? I agree with most of the things that you say, but I don't hear you saying ask Donald Trump nothing. You say, you keep saying
the same thing, Papa, the same thing.
You saying now it's the same thing, but in your presentation it seems to be anti-Kamala.
Both ways. No, sir, that is incorrect.
Okay, and I agree.
Ask both of them. But most black people are not thinking about Donald Trump. They're thinking about voting for Kamala Harris.
But what I hear is,
get the questions.
But what I hear is you. In fact, we have somebody that always said that Dr. Umar is just a black female basher, and I said that definitely is not true. He is uphold the integrity of black women.
He ain't
ever since I've known them.
She identifies as black. I can show you 5 interviews of Kamala Harris being called South Asian, and she doesn't once correct the interview.
What do you
say? I'm not only South Asian, I'm also Jamaican African or Jamaican American or American African. She is a proud Southeast Indian woman. She has a right to be a proud Southeast Indian woman, and nobody's going to manipulate my emotions or my consciousness to vote for a black woman who's only black when it benefits her. And I'm not voting for Donald Trump either because he ain't got nothing on my plate. How you going to pass a Hispanic Prosperity Initiative at the end of the George Floyd protest? That was the insult to every American African. Donald Trump executed approximately 13 people while he was president of these United States. It was the most federal death warrants signed since slavery. And 5 of them were black men whose death warrants Donald Trump signed in the final days of his presidency after Joe Biden was already elected but had not yet been sworn in. That white man killed black men, 2 of whom were thought to be innocent, and their lawyers were trying to get a stay of execution from the Supreme Court, but it got denied, and Donald Trump signed those black men's life away. So I'm no more for him or her. I'm for black liberation. I'm for black justice. I'm for black equality.
I have a
and
question
nobody
for you.
from the Democratic Party,
we gotta take a break.
plantation slave regime is going to make Dr. Umar vote for anybody until you show me what they're going to do for my people.
I have a suggestion for you.
Patrick, you got to hold on, Patrick. We got to take a break.
Yeah, I got a suggestion for Dr. Umar. I've always have a lot of respect for you and your influence. Can we actually have a movement? Because I think that with you and with your background, with all your experience, and with your influence in the African community, if we have a movement led by you, we will really create a great platform politically and socially to really, that will benefit our community. Can we have a movement?
We got a movement. He has a movement going on right now. It's called the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. How much more can you move to try to move our young people into themselves? So now, if we don't organize in this next 3 months, am I trying to understand you're saying that all black people need to not vote?
I would never tell a black person not to vote, and I never have told a black person not to vote, because you do no harm by voting, but you do a groundswell of good by organizing and voting together as a single community. Mm-hmm. So black people are going to do what we've done the past 14 presidential elections. We're going to go out and vote our heart and vote our minds and vote our emotions. And whoever gets in office will not have to be accountable to us because we did not require them to be so before we cast our vote.
I agree. Why we can't do this in 3 months? Like you say, all things are possible.
You're supposed to have.
I agree with that. But still, we need to organize long before the election and make specific demands, and then I think we will be stronger.
I absolutely agree. But here's the thing: the reason this is such a hot topic right now is President Biden did something that I don't think he withdrew his candidacy as president of the United States for a second term just before the Democratic National Convention and only a few months before the next presidential election. We haven't seen that happen in our lifetime, and it may have been the first time it happened at all. Most black people were absolutely disinterested in the next election when their options were President Trump and current, justifiably so, because neither one of those Caucasians did anything for black people with their 4 years. But when Kamala Harris decided to run, when Joe Biden gave her his blessing, when the Democratic National Committee said that she was likely to be their nominee, when black people and white people and so-called people of color raised millions of dollars for her overnight, black people were energized to once again get interested in the election because she's a woman and she's often misrepresented as a black woman. And so that's why black people are interested now, Baba, because all of this happened within the past 2 to 3 weeks. Black people would not be this excited about this election if it was still Trump or Biden. And the reason the Democrats went with Kamala Harris and not a Democrat, because there's other qualified Democrats, they went with Kamala Harris because there were 10 million more women, regardless of race. There were 10 million more women in America registered to vote than men during the last midterm. So the Democrats are hoping that Kamala Harris, being a woman and being black and being so-called person of color, that she will be able to attract to the Democratic Party the lion's share of those 10 million women who outnumber men in the next election. That's why they're putting her out front.
We have Cynthia on the phone line, but before we go to Cynthia, I want to reiterate again that you appear to have a lot of negative things to say about Kamala, but I don't hear you say a lot of negative things about Donald Trump.
We can talk about Trump if you want.
I don't want
black people
to talk negatively about anybody.
No, but what I'm saying is, listen, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I'm not loyal to no Caucasians or East Indians. I'm loyal to African liberation. So if you want to talk about Trump, let's talk about Trump. But nobody's going to sit here and act like I'm a Trumper or a Trump loyalist. I'm not voting for him, and I just gave you 2 big reasons why. But I am not going to endorse this woman just because she claims to be black when it benefits her. I'm not doing it. And it's
all right, well, let's talk to Cynthia on the
because
phone
of
line.
her identity.
Good afternoon, Cynthia.
Well, good afternoon. Peace and blessings.
It's about her not having nothing on the table to be black.
Dr. Omar, we have somebody on the phone.
Breaking up?
Yes. We have somebody on the phone, Dr. Omar.
Yes.
I'm almost forgetting what I wanted to ask.
All right.
I've been on here so long. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Omar, I heard you say that we need to listen to both Kamala and Trump. I don't want to listen to Trump no more. I don't want to hear anything he says.
Emotion.
Because I know who he is. We don't need to keep listening to him. Okay? We
And why
know
should we
what
listen
he's
to her?
going to do.
And we're listening to her why, my sister? We're listening to Kamala Harris why? I understand you don't want to listen to Trump. Why should we listen to her?
No, you won't let me finish. Can I finish?
I'm asking a question. Why should we listen to her?
I want to finish. I need no more information about Trump. Anyone that wants to uphold him and vote for him, they're foolish. Kamala Harris, I'm choosing her because of some positive things she has done. Now, it's not 100%.
Like what?
It's not 100%.
Like what?
A few things. I mean, I'm not here on the phone to do that. But
what
I
has she done for black
me I got to listen to Trump.
people? You said she's done some things. Well, you ain't gave me an answer yet.
You beating the sister up. I apologize, Cynthia. He's coming kind of hard on you, but and I think you seem to be so negative towards Kamala, but you just sweet. You're trying to be sweet to Donald Trump. I don't understand that. It seems like you're being anti-black.
I'm being anti-black by not voting for a woman who's anti-black. Please explain that to me.
I don't know how you can say that she's anti-black
by not voting for a woman who's anti-black. Please
I don't know. I ain't seen her being anti-black.
Why how is she anti-black though, Dr. Omar?
Because she sat in an interview. It's all over YouTube. I'll send you the clip. where she was asked what was she going to do for black people when she got elected.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole in the country. Right?
They all say that. Every mayor we've had in Philadelphia said the same thing. I'm not the mayor of Black Philadelphia. John Street said it. All of them say it. Barack Obama said the same thing.
She said we're not going to do anything. She said we're not going to do anything just for black people.
Those
are her exact words.
But
her exact words, I am quoting her. We are not going to do anything just for black people.
So it looks like she was talking. I mean, see, Dr. Umar, you were talking about not us being emotional, but it looks like
you're defending white supremacy. You're defending white supremacy, and you ain't gave me one reason why we should vote for her yet.
Or him.
Neither one of you have given me a single reason why black people should vote for Kamala Harris. You want
Donald Trump,
but you ain't got a reason for this.
But you don't say that. You don't say either or. You say Good afternoon, Paula.
Good afternoon.
What's your first name? Where you calling from?
My name is Mary, and I'm calling from Jersey.
Hey, Jersey.
And I'm sick of listening to Umar. Umar, let me talk. Okay? First and foremost.
As Dr. Umar, Sister Dr. Umar.
Well, then act like a doctor and stop criticizing everybody. Bottom line, people who
non-emotional, strategic thinking.
Hater. You are a black woman.
You're emotional, my sister. We can't win being emotional.
Dude, you criticize everybody. I ain't never seen you do anything for black people.
Hey, we're not going to attack our guests either.
Calm down, my beautiful African citizens.
All right, caller from New Jersey. We got your point. Thank you so much.
Calm down, Queen.
Because, you know, I don't want nobody attacking our guests. Like I don't want nobody attacking our callers. And you have seemed to be mighty emotional yourself today, Dr. Umar. We all are, because this is a very touchy situation. We see it differently.
Passion. I am
passion.
See, Dr. Umar is using semantics now. You are using semantics now. You are passionate.
You know, emotional, you're passionate.
Yeah, when black people say something about somebody, they're emotional, but you are passionate about it. Thank you. We love you too, Dr. Umar.
But you know, we first is still on the phone. But I'm still clear. I want to make it clear. So if every black person stayed home and didn't vote, and you say, well, it won't make no difference in him. But what if it does make a difference? What if Donald Trump gets in there and does a tremendous disservice to black people? Then what? You say, oh, we should have came out and voted.
No, I wouldn't have. Because guess what? What we fail to realize is when it comes to black people in America, the Democratic and Republican agenda for the American Negro is absolutely 100% identically the same. It don't matter who wins. You're going to catch the same hell regardless, because we don't carry on our politics in a non-emotional, professional, and organized manner. They don't have to take us seriously because we are disorganized. So I don't care who vote for. You're getting nothing because you did not vote as a single unit.
Okay, let me ask you this.
So,
you remember the Affordable Care Act that Barack Obama presented? Did that help black people? Affordable Care Act that they called Obamacare. I think that benefited black people a lot.
First of all, affordable care was for Americans. It was not for the black community. Stop
I didn't
it.
say it was for them.
Stop it. Barack Obama's gay laws were for gay people.
Barack
Obama's gay laws were for gay people.
They got black gays. It benefits black gays.
Stop it.
Okay, just like it benefit black gays, it benefit black citizens of the Affordable Care.
How did somebody who's not homosexual benefit from Barack Obama's homosexual laws?
I didn't say I said it benefited the black homosexuals.
Okay, but it didn't benefit. You are really.
No, Dr. Omar, Dr. Omar, there are benefits that we get from every law that are sometimes not directly. If we're talking about laws that protect anybody, any law that protects anybody in this country, it might not benefit you directly, but it will benefit you indirectly, because the law is to protect people who are really suffering as a result of whatever they are. And so any law that protects anybody in this country, we're talking about protection. If it does protect them, then we all benefit from it indirectly.